Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Dookie Forge. In this episode, it's going to be a little different. What we're going to try to do is something that I mentioned fairly early on in the cart build that could potentially become a problem, and it has. And that is these arms. Now, when I was designing these, obviously I'm not very smart, but overall the design came out pretty good. There's not, as far as conceptually, or like, there's nothing technically wrong with these arms. They aren't bending, they aren't sagging, the hinges are working great. When when I'm hitting things with the on the anvil, it does feel solid. But there's one problem that I did kind of predict, but I was hoping it wouldn't become an issue. And that is this. The wobble is just a little too much. Not necessarily on when I'm striking straight down. It's not too bad. It's very solid, feels good. It's when I'm doing any type of angular blow or side blow or anything like that, and it's a consecutive hit. It's like it moves a little bit, and then it moves a lot, and then it moves more, and moves more, and moves more, and all of a sudden it's swinging like this, and my stuff's moving all over the place, I'm missing with the hammer, and it's just causing a problem. And if it's a problem for me, and I kind of have no skill in blacksmithing, it's probably a bigger problem that I should try to fix. So, what my plan? What my plan is to add a piece of angle iron to the top and bottom. I'm gonna try not to get rid of these bars. I'm gonna try to add on to these bars and essentially bolt an additional bar, but angle iron onto this to help stiffen it up, and hopefully that'll help reduce the wobble. I know it probably won't get rid of all of it because some of the wobble comes from the hinges themselves and the cart itself moving and stuff like that, but that is my plan. Now here is the 5-head move that I did to myself. Unfortunately, in order to do this, to replace these bars, I have to take the whole thing apart. And well, normally you would think, oh, that's not that big of a deal. I just unbolt some stuff and bada boom. Well, it is, because the bolts go, I have to take out all the bolts, which I can't take out the bolts until I take off the anvil. I was like, okay, well, problem is it's all glued together. And to get to the bolts that then I can take off the anvil plate, I have to take off the anvil, rip off the glue, just to get to the bolts, to undo the thing, to the thing, and the thing. I'm smart, SMRT, as my mom used to tell me. SMRT. I am so smart. It's me. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to take this whole thing apart, pretty much almost all of it. I'm going to try to keep as much of it together as I can to put on the angle braces and then re-put it all back together. So it'll take a lot more effort than it should, because I'm a really good engineer and that's how things should be designed. But that's what we're going to do. We're going to try to upgrade this guy, try to reduce a little bit of the wobble as much as we can. Some of the things we're going to need is some of this. If I can get it down without knocking anything else down. We're going to need some basic angle iron. I think this is 1.5 or 1.75 inches. I don't know actually the dimensions, but it should fit. It's a little, it's not quite as wide as the actual steel bar it's going to be on as well. So it might be a little interesting trying to get everything stacked and looking good. But this is what we need. Well. I thought about it, and like I said, I'm not very smart, as you all know, but I couldn't think of any solution. With every solution that there is, I had to take off the anvil anyway. So might as well start doing that. And, you know, with my 5-head thoughts, way of building this, I didn't make it the easiest thing to take apart. So I'll see you when this anvil is ready to come off. All right, so there's only 2 bolts technically bolting down the anvil itself, but it is also fully glued to a piece of wood that is also glued to the piece of steel that is then bolted, you know, all of it kind of bolted down. So I'm going to try to lift this anvil up. Now, just a piece of advice, you know, this isn't super crazy heavy, but it's heavy. It's 70 pounds. Nothing to take lightly. Piece of advice though, when you're trying to lift up a glued down piece of 70-pound chunk of steel, make sure to lift up with a ripping, jerking motion, specifically with your lower back, and make sure your feet and legs are in like really like weird positions. You know, kind of lift like this, and just rip up with all your might. Usually works, though I'm a little tired, so I'm just gonna try to pull it up. Oh man, oh dang, that glue is, well, it's working. I was afraid of this. How the heck am I gonna get? I need a pry bar or something. Do I have anything? Work. Doesn't quite fit. There we go. I'm using a 1/2-inch round stock that I have for some future projects. So you'll see what some of this stuff is for at some point, hopefully. Yeah. Nothing that a hammer can't fix. Oh yeah, definitely ruined the piece of wood. Because I think I might be able to rip it up now. Yeah. 70 pounds of, oh. Well, I'm gonna have to go through and replace this piece of wood now, aren't I? That's a bummer. Oh well. Anvil. Off. Face. Off. Well, I interrupt this video to let you know I lost all the footage that I recorded on this project, well, after this point. So I'm going to try to just do a little bit of a recap. I believe where the footage got deleted. Oh, and if anybody knows, I was copying over the footage, and just in the middle of copying, the drive, the flash drive, or the storage thing out of the GoPro, just stopped working and said, can no longer read, this thing, needs to be reformatted, and there was nothing I could do. So I essentially lost all my footage. So if anybody else has run into that, let me know if there's like a solution or a way to avoid that, or something that I did. I don't know. Anyway. So I think where the footage cut off is I just got the anvil off of the arm, and I was cleaning off the wood off of the base plate, which now obviously this is much after the fact. Base plate's clean and ready to be reinstalled. I got the arm off, and one of the things I was talking about is the rust and the weird stuff you're seeing is, I found out it's a combination of the silicone reacting with the steel and then the sand with like making like a granular structure here. And so this like rusty stuff doesn't go very deep. It only goes where the silicone was at the top. So that's nothing to worry about as far as I know. And it's not like it's super deep rust or anything. It's very surface level. So, but it's from the silicone. Apparently I got the silicone that has some reactionary agent in it. Anyway, I got the arm off, all good, cleaned everything up. Anvil, unfortunately because I took it apart, I'm, well, out of commission for a little while. And that is because, let me turn these lights around again. That is because, so here is the arm. This side is the top, so it's reversed. So the anvil sits here. This is the old bracket, so it would have sat like this. And the anvil would have sat on top. So I'm going to be adding, this is a small piece, but I'm going to be adding a piece of angle iron to this bar and installing it to help the, rigidity. Well, one of the things I was looking at is, obviously you could tell with this bracket, is the angle iron I have isn't the same size as this bar. And while I could make this work, I kind of really wanted angle iron to have the correct dimensions so that it fits this bar perfectly, and I can get all 4 bolts through the angle iron. And same down here where the hinge attaches, I would only be able to get 3 bolts through the angle iron if I were to use the angle iron size that I have. So I made the executive decision as owner and operator of Dookie Forge, super awesome blacksmithing company. I ordered some 2-inch walled angle iron. I forget a lot of the other stuff that I filmed. I was essentially just filming, taking apart this thing. I lost a lot of time lapse, which I was experimenting with, unfortunately. That's kind of a bummer. What else? Well, what I have left to do with the project is I'm waiting for that steel to come in so that I can do it properly instead of like finagling wrong-sized angle iron. But I decided I'm going to go through and I'm going to replace all 4 arms. And for those of you that might not be aware, all 4 arms I'm talking about I'm not going to replace, I'm going to add angle iron to all 4 of the straight bar arms. So 1, 2, and 3, 4. So what my plan is to do one at a time, so that way everything still stays in the right position as I take things apart. So I'm going to do this arm, reconnect everything, and then do the lower arm, and then reconnect everything, and then same thing with the vice arm. And I think that covers some, well, not all the stuff I lost, but hopefully, geez, the lights, sometimes. Anyway, when I get the steel, I will continue this project. Hopefully it will be soon, so I'm not out of commission for too long. And yeah, that's what I did. So if anybody knows why that drive got messed up in the middle of copying everything over, let me know. But we'll continue this this project when I get the steel. See you then. Well, welcome back. Well, for you, it's only been a few seconds. For me, it's been about 2 weeks, 2 weekends worth, not 2 weeks of total time in between when I lost the footage and when I got the stuff I needed. But today's hopefully going to go a little bit better. And the plan is to continue and fix up hopefully all 4 of the arms so I can get this thing out of the middle of my apartment and stop taking up all my crazy amount of space. You know, all this floor space for activities has just been taken up with that. So what I got, and if you remember, which you should, because it just happened like 2 seconds ago for you, is I ordered some specific angle iron to do this properly, which with 2-inch walls, and it came in. So what we have here, let me put this up here, is we got 2-inch walled angle iron, 1/8 thickness as far as steel thickness overall. And this might look like regular angle iron, but the reason I had to special order this is because this is actually the backbone of a hippopotamus. And what I had to do is I had to fly, you know, where the hippopotamuses live, and you have to rip it out of them while they're still alive, so just to keep it fresh and make sure it's, you know, highest quality. So I'm calling it angle iron, but just to let you know, this is actually a hippopotamus backbone, and that's why this is so high quality. So now that I have what I need, I think I'm just going to jump right into, I'm going to measure it out, cut up the steel one at a time because I'm taking apart one arm at a time, but measure out one arm, cut it up, drill the holes, put it on, take off another arm, repeat the process, 4 times, and hopefully this weekend I can actually finish this thing up and get back to working. And the hope, obviously the goal is to reduce the wobble in the arms. Now I know I will never reduce all of it just because of the way I built this on a mobile fort on the cart, and there's always going to be a little bit of wobble. Yeah. So hopefully I'll be happy if I can reduce like 80% or something like that of the wobble with this. And then maybe we can figure out something else in the future if it still is an issue. So I got to get to work. well, with the holes drilled, should be good to go. Everything lines up. Goes like this with the shelf on top. I'm just going to put this thing together. Just kind of eyeballing some things, making sure everything just looks all right. And yeah, that is not going to work. Let me show you. I forgot about this. Right here, I even marked it, and I forgot about it because it's been so long, but I have to chop off the top of this, because I don't know if you'll be able to see, but essentially this is going like that on top, and the top corner here is stopping this from the angle iron from getting low enough in the path here. So I have to chop that. Well, that little issue is actually kind of a pain, because the only thing I have that can cut it at the particular spot that it's on the cart without taking the whole thing apart and like taking it outside and doing other stuff is Mr. Angle Grinder. And this is not a very good tool to use in a studio penthouse apartment. So hopefully it should only be a few seconds worth of cutting. I'm gonna have the vacuum running, I'm gonna have a window open and a fan pushing air out. Hopefully it'll be good. I'm so bright, I'm as bright as the sun! Anyway, I did it. The first arm is attached. And it's actually, you know, because I put this thing together with my skill, it's kind of a pain to take apart and put together. But it's on the first piece of angle iron. Now I have to do the bottom one, which is going to be a little bit more of a pain because as I take off this leg and, well, I say it's more of a pain in a different way. As I take off this leg, it's full of sand down there, which you probably can't see, but it's full of sand down there, and I'm going to vacuum up all the sand. But I'm going to, now that the top is all back to tightened up, I'm I'm going to take apart the bottom one, leave the rest, attached, and do it to it. Oh, man. So as usual, that was a little bit rougher than it should be. But this arm is done, stiffened up, angle iron top and bottom. The biggest mistake I made is when I was aligning this bottom straight bar to the angle iron here. In my head, I was like, oh, I just line it up the same as the top one. But the problem is I essentially needed to line it up with the angle iron flipped so that I guess the step is on the bottom, whereas this one, the step is on the top. And so the result is these two back bolts didn't line up with the original holes that I put, whereas all the other ones pretty much did. So yeah, unfortunately there's some extra holes here. Shouldn't really affect anything. I put a washer on the top one just to help, hopefully. I couldn't fit one on the bottom one. So that's the major mistake. And then at some point I sliced open my pinky a little bit, so I wrapped it with some paper towel and duct tape to keep stuff from getting in it. But yeah, at some point I sliced that thing open. I didn't put new silicone on everything because there was old silicone on most of everything. So as far as the threads and stuff, so it kind of was still working. So I didn't bother with putting new silicone on everything. I think I'm going to take a break, have some lunch, and eat some foods. Then I'm going to finish this guy up. I'm going to refill this thing with sand, and then I guess position the top plate on top of here, the top plate, which is this guy, on top of here, and line up for the anvil fastener hole on this guy. And then essentially this arm will be finished. Hopefully not adding silicone to the bottom here won't be an issue. And the sand will, hopefully it'll seal, it's sealed tight enough that the sand won't leak out. I don't think it will, but whatever. So lunchtime. Holy crap. That was far more frustrating than it needed to be. Between, you know, having not enough space to do anything, the bolt breaking on the anvil thing, and the things and the thing, and nothing, just, so frustrating. But the anvil is put together. Put back together. I haven't tested it out yet because I'm kind of nervous that I went through all this effort and it's not going to change anything. So I'm kind of nervous to be disappointed, but went through, put it all back together. It's looking good. But yeah, I guess all that's left is to test it. Put it on its leg and jack it up a little bit and move it around and see how much the wobble is reduced. So let's do that. Now, it probably won't be the perfect test because the other leg isn't going to be extended, but let's just put it under tension and see how it goes. All right. So it is a little off canter just because the other leg isn't extended, but there's obviously a little bit of wobble. You know, like I said, I definitely couldn't get rid of all of it, but that is a huge improvement. It doesn't wobble as long, doesn't swing back and forth as long. And now, essentially, let me extend the other leg and see if that makes a difference if they're both up and the cart is a little bit more balanced. All right, both legs are up. So now where I'm looking, any amount of wobble is coming mainly from the cart itself is actually moving. And the hinge, well, no, it's actually, majority is the cart itself. But the nice thing is, it doesn't continually build like it was previously. So I'd say probably a 60 to 70% wobble reduction. And for regular hitting, it's definitely going to be a big difference. So I'm still a little frustrated just from how much of a pain that was to put back together. But, and how many mistakes I made yet again. This channel should just be called Making Mistakes, Big and Small. But yeah, that's going to be it for today. I'm calling it done for the day. And it is a beauty. And I'm going to call it done for the day. And tomorrow I'm going to tackle the vice arm over there. So I will see you then. Hopefully this one goes a little bit smoother, but I doubt it. But yeah, I'll consider that a 60% success, which is 100% success in my book. Oh, okay. You can't tell how long it's been, but it's been like forever. But good news, we finished it. The cart is upgraded. Tilt the lights over to that direction, and let me show you. All right. I have now the vise arm with angle iron top, plus the straight bar is still there, and angle iron bottom, and as well as the straight bar, as well as the anvil. Same thing, bada boom, bada bing. And of course, this upper arm is doubled up as well. Everything is put back together, and if you've watched some previous episodes, you'll know that this thing had a lot of swing. Like, it was just all over the place. And of course, like I said, there is always going to be some wobble just because of the nature of the design, but I'd say the angle iron almost reduced the wobble in this almost more percentage-wise than the anvil itself. And I was kind of looking through it and, you know, wobbling it, and essentially there is no more wobble coming from the arms itself. That you can see the flex, so a small amount comes from the foot, a small amount comes from the hinges, and then a small amount, the rest of it comes from the actual cart moving. And that's where the wobble mostly comes from. So other than maybe upgrading the hinges to be a little heavier duty, and maybe even this angle iron piece bracket that attaches everything, I think I've pretty much reduced the wobble with this design as much as I can. I mean, I could always do something a little more drastic, which would be like, gosh, there's no room in here. If I were to, say, take a piece of angle iron underneath here, and when this is angled out, I could rigidly, like, take it out to the park, set this up, bolt it directly to the cart to give it a rigid attachment, and that would probably reduce another few percent of the wobble. But at this point, I think this is the finished design. As far as this iteration, angle iron for the arms was pretty much the only change so far, and it's feeling really nice. I think this is going to make a much bigger difference, especially when I'm working with it. Yeah, now I can actually pull against this direction, whereas before I couldn't pull this way because the flex in the arms were just too much. So now I can actually pull this way, well, back and forth against the arm, and it actually resists me, which is really nice. So, overall, success. I probably injured my hands more on this project than anything else so far, which is, got cut right there. Slamming my hands into all the pieces as I'm trying to, this thing is not easy, not fun to work on. With that being said, this project of upgrading the cart is over. So hopefully in the upcoming video, or shortly after this, I will be testing this out with some hammering and some forging. So thanks for watching. I will leave you with this week's quote of the week. Have a good one.
Hey, who's that quote-a-mon?
I'm Emma Stone. Here's your quote. Cookie, 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 nom, 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 nom.
Bye.